We got an update on old Mr. Black here. Uh, Initially, I thought this was a theft recovery because it came with no keys, but it has absolutely no damage on it. It is pristine. And as you can see, it's chromed out well. Everything looks good on it. I did find two things. One of them is going to require a little bit of work. The other one is well, the other one's already fixed and it took 10 seconds. You'll be surprised. And I'm waiting for reactions. So, here's the deal. Checked it all out, got the keys, checked the oil, there was no oil in it. So, I thought right away, well, why wouldn't there be oil in it? Well, I can't really get a good picture of it because it's buried underneath the side cover here. But evidently what happened was whoever owned it ran over something, I'm guessing a rock, or it could have been a manure spreader lost something on the highway and they ran over it. And it poked a hole in the engine case, about the size of a dime. And that was a real easy fix. In fact, I'm looking at a 2020 Goldwing now that has transmission damage. And I actually paid a guy to go out, take pictures of it, because I said if it's a hole in the tranny, I can fix it. If it's transmission problems per se, I don't want to touch it because that involves ripping the motor out and I just don't want to get into it. Fixing a hole like this is super easy. What I did is I've got some aluminum sheathing, which was way back there on the pile. It's rather thin aluminum sheathing. I think it's Valley tin is what it actually is. I cut a piece about 2 inches square. I put a good coating of 3M 8115 adhesive on it, and just after cleaning the aluminum and sanding it, just stuck it on there and I let it harden overnight. That's it. That'll take care of it. It's never going to have a problem. I can absolutely guarantee you that this thing is never going to leak because there's no pressure on it. Plus the adhesive can withstand 400 degrees. And it's impervious to any kind of chemicals like oil, gasoline, lacquer thinner. You can clean it with lacquer thinner until it begins to harden, and then you can't touch it. There's really nothing that I know of that can affect it. And here's the other thing. This is the material they glue your cars together with. 70 to 90% of every car you drive is glued together with this stuff. They don't use welding or anything on body panels. It's all glued together. And if you ever tried to get them apart, you'll tear the steel is what you're going to end up doing. So that was an easy fix, and I have absolutely no problem with doing it this way. It's full of oil right now. She ran great. I threw a scope into all the cylinders. There's no scratches and nothing. This thing was never run without oil. So it runs perfect. The only catch with it is if I sell it, I have to, disclaim this. I'm not going to sell something and hide this. I could throw a belly pan on it and hide it. Well, I'm not going to do that. For one thing, even after seeing this, I would never install a belly pan. And the reason being is, as you see by the pictures I'm posting here, these are all bikes that burned because of gasoline spills or oil. And I've taken belly pans off where it's full of oil and leaves and twigs, and they're right up against exhaust pipes that get cherry red. And the drain hose for the overfill on the gas tank goes through a hole in the belly pan. Well, if that hose is a little short or it's not in the hole, then gasoline fills up the belly pan, and you're much more likely to have a fire than ever cause any protection or any result of protection against running over something. This is the first I've ever seen where the engine case was damaged by something. So the odds are 1 in a zillion. The odds of you having the fire is probably more like 1 in a couple thousand. I don't recommend belly pans. Even with this, I would stay away from them. But that's my opinion, and that's my opinion based on what I see on the auction sites and totally burned bikes. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. So that was the easy one. That was the no-brainer, easy fix. In fact, when I saw it, I was actually relieved. I thought, oh, great, I got it all figured out. Now I know it was, it's got a clear title. But the insurance company decided rather than, you know, I'm sure they looked at replacing the motor or whatever. They don't understand that this stuff is so easy to fix. But anyway, the more serious thing is when it, whatever it hit, it tipped over. And what happens a lot of times is this side cover, either side, gets pushed in. And it won't crack this, you won't see any physical damage at all. But what happened, and you can't really see in there, I don't know if you can see it there, but the fan is right up against the radiator. That fan doesn't turn, which is good, because if it turned, even for 10 seconds, it would grind a hole in the radiator. So what happened is the radiator got pushed in up against the fan. So what I'm going to have to do is take this side cover loose, which is not a big deal, tip it out a little bit, and then I go in there and I loosen up the mounts for the radiator and shim it out a little bit. So that's going to take me, maybe a half hour or so to fix that. But I want to get that one fixed, otherwise the motors burn out if you leave them. Or if it ever starts to turn, it'll grind right through that radiator and then we have a bigger problem. This is an O2, so it uses small radiators. They're a lot easier to find and a lot easier to buy because they're cheaper. So that's the worst of the two things, believe it or not. So pretty happy, still happy as heck. And as is, I'm going to convert this to a trike, and I'm keeping it. I haven't heard back. I had a guy that was interested, and I don't know if he's not interested now or what's changed. But I'm going to keep it. I'll put it for sale. If someone wants to buy it, I'll show them, what I did. But I think if I put a couple thousand miles on it and there's never a problem, I think you can pretty much be assured that the fixes I incorporated here are going to last forever. So still quite happy. I do have to add a trailer hitch, because if I'm going to keep it, which I am, I have to have a hitch on it so that I can pull my camper and my other trailer. And I'll be, using this one and my other 2008 back and forth. This one's got the backrest on it, and the other one's got heated grips and stuff, so I'll just switch back and forth. So that's the latest update, and I think that's pretty much clears up all the stuff on this here bike. Okay, I'm sure a lot of people raised their eyebrows at the very least when I mentioned the hole in the crankcase that I fixed. That was really a 5-minute repair, and that's a permanent fix. I'll never have a problem with that. I've actually done that before. I've done it on small block Chevys and stuff where things get a hole poked in them, and you either fix them mechanically or with adhesive. So that was an easy one. That didn't bother me one bit. This turned out to be, as you can see, a little more involved. The fan is bent. It rubs, and as you can see, she's got a little bit of a tweak to it. So that's going to get replaced. The radiator, I was afraid of the radiator because, as you can see, she's bent. It's got a twist in it. It's got some pretty heavy marks there, and I'm afraid it would spring a leak. And it's also banged up on the outside, and it's got kind of a concave texture to it. This radiator is pretty well junk. So that is going to be replaced. I did it backwards, really. This is the hard way of doing this. The easy way is take the top shelter off, and you can get at it. The only thing I was planning on just doing a simple shim, which is easier to do from this side. As it turns out, it was more than that. Doesn't matter. This was about an hour and a half to get to this point. It'll go together better than it came apart. So, and there's some parts I won't put back on because they come off for the trike conversion anyway. So that's the thing. I got to order a radiator for it, so this will sit for a while. But then it's 100%. So not all bad news. Just a little extra work. But to tell the truth, with the radiator, I'm estimating what the radiator cost. I'm guessing I'm going to have under $150 in this repair complete, so that's not too bad. I mentioned that I got it pretty cheap. I'll tell you what I paid for it. So it's a 2002, 61,000 miles, a lot of chrome and all that, and I believe my top bid was $2,800. $2,850 I think is what I got it for. And then you got to add buyer fee and transport fees. So I think I had about $4,000 in it altogether, including shipping. If it wasn't for the shipping, I would have saved $1,000. Shipping is double what it used to be. Fuel prices are up, you know, and there's shortages of truck drivers and everything, and wait times are terrible. It took over a month to get this bike in here, and I got another one that's a month now, and I don't expect it for another week yet. So shipping has been slow and expensive, but that's what happens when you people start driving again, and there's a huge demand. So it's supply and demand. That's really that we have to live with. So anywho, I'm still pretty optimistic. I'm still thinking it's a hell of a good deal. And like I say, I'm keeping it. I like it.